What up? How's everybody doing? Feeling good tonight? What's up, Jake Carey? What's up, Awoken? Thanks, man. Appreciate it. What's up, Mike? What's up, Davis? So, we gonna talk about phosphates. That's the goal. This stuff is awful, by the way. This bubbly stuff, don't ever buy this. Don't ever buy this. Unless you really like seltzer water. Do we need the hat for this talk? I feel like maybe we need the hat for this. I need Lisa in here. Because I don't know how to do this link. I never do it right. How's the music? Good? Too loud? Too soft? What's up, everybody coming in? I'm gonna leave the hat off tonight. Lighting's all jacked up. Only really works during the day anyway. So the goal is we can get, I don't know why it's doing that, but we should be, if we can get people in here somehow. I don't know how to get the link. Oh, there it is. All right. So we're talking about phosphates, and specifically the tank that is back here. If you can tell, I don't have any more hair algae, thanks to Rico and a couple others from his channel. So I just want to share what I learned, see if anybody else is dealing with the same issues. Phosphates. I use an ultra low range Hannah checker, which, if you don't do it correctly, can be off. Like last night, for example, I checked and it said 33, which is like 0.1. And then I checked again and it said 5. So I think I messed up the first one somehow, because 5 is a lot more accurate. If it would have been 33, I would have been crazy. And before that, I was actually using a Red Sea phosphate test. But, I don't know, the colors are really hard, they're very close together, and I never knew if they were accurate or not. What about you, Mike? What is going on here? Lisa, what is up? Can you help out with the link? Well, let's see. I tried this. See if anybody can get in to the hangout that way. Anybody having any luck? All right. Let's talk about phosphates. We can worry about the link later. Maybe Lisa can get it figured out. But basically, what I've learned over the last couple weeks is that, all right, cool. It's really not a big deal. Oh, you changed your name? Was it always Lisa? No, it wasn't Lisa's Aquatics, was it? So, anyway. So, big shout out to Rico and all the folks that helped. I mean, a lot of us know that phosphates are a measure of nutrients. And it's really difficult sometimes to measure them because if you have, like... Let me see if I can get you guys an example of what this looked like. Oh, really? Well, you should be able to change it again. But, alright, let me see if I can get a... This is a direct result of phosphates. Can you guys see this? This is the exact same tank, essentially a week ago, as the one that's behind me here right now. And this is actually not in this picture. It's a little bit further over. Let me see if I can. Oh. It's over further, but anyway, you get the general picture. Pretty much the whole tank looked like this. You can see the green hair algae all over the place. It was a problem. It was not fun. And so how do we get there? We got there from going from too little nutrients to too many nutrients. And specifically for me, I was feeding too much. I went from feeding 1 cube of mysis every other day to 3 cubes of mysis every day to about 17 to 18 fish. Most of them were pretty small in nature. Even some days I would put 4 and 5 in there just because I thought they could eat it all. And I was also throwing in Reefroids like twice a week, a teaspoon of Reefroids twice a week. So as you can imagine, that was a lot of nutrients for a tank that was used to one mysis cube every other day. So it didn't really do this initially. Initially it looked pretty good. So that's why I just continued to keep doing it. And what was happening was my Chaeto was really trying to catch up. My Chaeto was growing exponentially, and I mean, it went from like when I bought it 250 grams to like the next week, 7 days later, it was like, you know, 380 grams, and then the next week it was 500 grams, and the next week it was 600 and something grams, and then I took some out. And what was happening was I was putting in so many nutrients that the Chaeto wasn't able to, between the Chaeto and the protein skimmer, it wasn't able to soak them up enough. So what ended up happening was hair algae started growing in my sump. And I tried to then combat that by getting rid of the hair algae, scraping my sump out of my refugium. Oh, I'm using the Mike. I'm using the Hanna ultra low range phosphorus checker. Before that, I was using the Red Sea phosphate checker, but the ultra low range is good as long as you do it correctly. If there's any variation, you can get some pretty significant differences. And the other issue is phosphates are only a measure of what's left over in your tank. So like on this picture here, I mean, if I'm getting a reading of 3 or 4 phosphates from this, it means that all this hair algae that's in here is eating up all of the available phosphates, plus whatever my refugium's trying to do, and I still have extra phosphates. So what I did was a couple of different things. Rico's advice, which was really good, is that lower my feeding immediately. I took it down to 1 cube I took it back to 1 cube every other day. I scrubbed the rock a couple times a day, and it still was hard. It wasn't getting rid of it. So what I ultimately decided to do was I did a 2.5 day blackout. I added a fox face. I added cleanup crew, and the result of what you have is what's behind me here. There's very little, if any, algae. Now, I already had a cleanup crew, but it was dwindling. I hadn't replenished it in probably like 8 months. So I got, you know, probably like 25, 30 more hermits, a couple more Trocus snails, a couple more other snails, and I just turned the lights out and just let them feast for the 2.5 days that I had the lights out. When I turned it back on, everything else, there were still some algae, but it wasn't too bad. What's up, exclusive? Is it like cyanobacteria, Mike, or do you think it's something else? Yeah, Davis, isn't that crazy? They've just constantly been going at each other. And now they're doing this thing where they're just going like in this merry-go-round. But What's up, exclusive? How you doing, bud? Yeah. Huh. I've never had any issue with Dino, so couldn't help you with that one. But yeah, man, I mean, so obviously lowering the amount of nutrients that were going into my tank was you know, the key to the entire equation. But then after you got that, you got to figure out how to get rid of the algae that you have. Yeah. And that's why phosphates are kind of hard to test for, right? Exclusive. I mean, sometimes you have phosphates that, like in the picture I showed before, you have all this hair algae, but you're getting like a 0.02, 0.01 reading, but that's really the leftover. I think Ryan Gill is the one that told me about the whole dinner plate analogy, where you have, you know, the food that's on the dinner plate is like is what everything consumes in the tank. You know, your corals, your algae eaters, stuff like that. And then what's left over is what you can actually test for. Too low of nutrients, really? Huh. Are you, hold on, I gotta change this song. Oh, that was the last one on this album. Hold on. I want to do... Sure, let's do this one. About to leave. That's already really loud. Come with me. I'm not... Woo! I'm not sure why I jacked the volume all the way up again. There we go. Yeah, Melanie, I don't know why. I'm not getting notifications either for people. Should be good. Right about there, I think. So reddish cyano on the rocks. Yeah, I had a cyano showed up actually before any of the hair algae did for me. Then when the hair algae showed up, the cyano kind of disappeared. I feel you on that one. I really want to get a Walt Disney. Well, that's good. Probably means you got your phosphates back in control then. Before it became an issue, maybe. I did not. As you can see, it was bad. But now it's all good. Hardly any in there at all. And the other thing I did, so let's recap what I did. I reduced my feedings from 3 cubes a day to 1 every other day. I got a fox face, which he's been doing pretty good. And I got some more cleanup crew. I also got different macro algae, because one of the things that happened, yeah, the home wrecker is pretty sweet. I want to wait a little while before I get that. Maybe it'll drop down. But so the other thing that was happening is, because my Chaeto wasn't able to keep up with the macro algae, wasn't able to catch up with the nutrients. I was getting green hair algae in my fuge, and then that ultimately ended up taking over the Chaeto. So then I just started going into this crazy pattern of removing hair algae every single week, taking Chaeto out that had hair algae on it, throwing it out, and then trying to reset my fuge every single week. But what I was doing was I was reducing the amount of Chaeto, which meant that there was less to grow, and then it just kind of, boom, found its way into the tank. So, it's right here, Melanie. I had it on earlier. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard to wear it. If I wear it like that, it's good. What's up, Ryan? Dude, I was just telling everybody about your dinner plate analogy with the phosphates. I think I finally got it under control. I did like a 2.5 day blackout. Oh, nice. Dude, those tanks are just having at it. Yeah, it's something's. I think Melanie. I think something's going on with not yours, but I think YouTube in general, because I have my live streams to show up as unlisted, and as soon as mine was over, I thought my stream was still on because I kept getting notifications that people were watching it, and I was like, did I leave it on upstairs? Like, what is going on? Exclusive. Next month, my tank will be a year old from the time that I put water in it. You know what that kind of looks like, Lisa? I know there's somebody that's dancing, but it looks like somebody that's like holding their butt because they're in so much pain. Just saying. I'm not sure if that was your intention or not. What the hell? Oh man, that's pretty funny. So who else here has had phosphate issues, and what did you do? Lisa, the best way to not fix a laptop is to throw it out a window. I can confirm that. Brian, yeah. Do you still have phosphate issues? Were you saying the other day when we were talking that you still had green hair algae? Can't remember. Can't remember crap. Yeah. Man, for me, fading less is helping. Yeah. For me, honestly, like, I tried to scrub my rock the best that I could, but I just, like, I was getting so frustrated because every single time I would do it, I would knock a piece of coral off because I have an in-wall tank, so I can't go in the front of it and try to scrub. I have to go in from the back of it, and trying to get straight down on top of it is really hard. So I just finally said, you know what, I'm gonna leave my lights off for like, ended up being like literally 2.5 days. Yeah. 6 feet of rocks does suck, right? Yeah. After I did that for like the second or third time, I would go back around to the front of the tank and be like, oh yeah, that looks better. And then like, I don't know, 45 minutes later, it's like every single time, every place I scrubbed, like the hair algae just kind of like receded real quick, like an anemone. And then when I came back around to look at it again, it was all popped out. So I finally said I have to do something else. But I didn't have any issues with any of my corals or anything during the blackout. I did, however, turn on like, I have like one T5 every that just runs the entire length of the tank. I put that on for like 2 hours a day when I was feeding. Oh, my tank's getting ready to go out too. But yeah, Melanie, I have GFO in my a pretty good amount of GFO in my 120. Is anything, Melanie? I know you were having some phosphate issues, but you weren't having like any. You don't have like any algae or anything, right? H2O2. Is that hydrogen peroxide? How's that working? Do you just add that to the tank, or are you trying to like spot hit the algae with that? Gotcha, Melanie, on the high nitrates. Yeah, I had that issue for a long time. Ooh. Yeah, let me know how that goes. I'm curious. I thought about doing that actually. Yeah, but how does your tank look otherwise? I mean, Melanie, does it look okay? Because here's the thing, like my BioCube for the longest time has always had high nitrates and phosphates, and I haven't tested it in like 4 months. And that's bad husbandry, I know, but it looks fine. It looks great. I do get like a little bit of hair algae, but I have like that's the bit.ly link. Copy what? Oh, the actual link? You want the whole thing? No, I do, Ryan. I do. I want people in here. I'm trying to, like, figure out, because... Green hair algae, yeah, it's like the bane of people's existence. Dude. Lisa. Oh, that's right. Okay, so copy the link address. Okay, I got that. Oh, is that it? That's all you have to do? That's no way. Go into chat and that's the link to the Google Hangout. I mean, I can try to restart it, I guess. All right. That's a new link. What's up, Falcon? How you doing, man? All right. Oh Lord. My mother is in the chat, everybody. How's it going, Ma? No, that's not my mom. I mean, that's not my wife. My mom is my biggest fan. Alright, let's try this Google Hangout thing again. Maybe it'll work on Chrome instead of Internet Explorer. Alright. Try that one. If that don't work, I don't know what to do. I don't know, Ma. That's weird. I don't know. Your TV must be too new. My TV doesn't even do that. Over the top? Over the top or over the hill? What does that mean? Go back to your bit.ly link and do the copy. Okay. Why does this have to be so hard? I think it's probably because they want you... I think it's probably because they want you to start it as a Google Hangout. It's the only thing I can think of. I gotta let you go. We're missing NCIS. I see where you see where I lie on my mother's list of priorities, right? Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome, Melanie. Yeah, that's neat. That's kind of what if we have a girl, it's gonna be still not working as Alyssa. All right, here's what we're gonna do. I'm shutting the stream down. And I'm gonna start as a Google Hangout. So from the begin, the problem with doing it that way though is that we're not gonna have the music. All right, here we go. We're restarting it, guys. I'm gonna restart it. Try to get the Google Hangout set up. Maybe. Oh, I have to end the stream through.